Friends, I know that so many of us have a story to tell about how we or someone in our family have had our lives made better because of Obamacare. I know it because of two reasons. The first is because in our state, the percentage of those uninsured has dropped from 21% to just 6% within 3 years. And I also know that it's making our lives better because we are telling our stories. I know that we are telling our stories. I have heard them. Americans have heard them. And now we want McConnell to hear our stories. Folks, I keep wondering who McConnell is looking out for. When more Kentuckians are regularly seeing a doctor, when more Kentuckians are getting preventative care, and more Kentuckians, 475,000 to be exact, now have health insurance. Who is he looking out for? You know, we can keep going with this. We have more nurses, we have more doctors, and we have more healthcare providers thanks to the ACA. We also have more jobs. And you know what else? We have billions more dollars flowing into our state because of Medicaid expansion. So, Senator McConnell, who are you looking out for? Not us! When I was pregnant with my second son, my husband, myself, and our first son moved back to Bowling Green from living overseas for a few years. My husband was going to school and working full-time, and I was pregnant, and I was able to get great prenatal care thanks to Medicaid. As it turns out, I get this really weird, unusual condition when I'm pregnant, and if it's left undetected, my child, who was perfectly healthy, could have been delivered stillborn. A couple weeks ago, we celebrated his 6th birthday. Now, I know that billions of dollars, and that is what it is, I know that that's a lot of money. But I understand that the value of healthcare cannot actually be expressed in numbers. You see, I understand the value of healthcare. I know that that value is found in the smile and the laughter of that little boy. I know that the value of healthcare is found in the relief of knowing we can pay our bills and we can also feed our families. I know that the value of healthcare is found in the assurance of the doctor who tells us that we caught it in time. I know that the value of our healthcare is in healthy families and strong, thriving communities. So friends, we need to understand that it should really be no surprise that this atrocious healthcare bill is being shoved through without due process. The Republican bill is an assault on our democracy. And it's not just the process, it's the actual bill. This bill is an attempt to keep poor people poor. This bill is an attempt to keep people of color oppressed. This bill is an attempt to keep women as second-class citizens. This bill is an attempt to keep us from being able to contribute and to work together. And I believe it is an attempt to keep the elite in power. So let's get loud. Let's work together. Let's make our communities stronger. Let's lift up the voices of those who are not heard. Let's continue to stand together. Way to go, E-Town. Good showing up tonight. Thank you.
All right, next we're going to have Chris Rousey, and she is the Director of Operations on the Board of Directors for Indivisible Kentucky, and they are our partners for this event tonight. I can't say enough of what Indivisible Kentucky has done in partnering with the Heartland Progressive Alliance tonight. They have taught us so much in how to organize, so the next time this happens, boy, we have got it down and we will be ready to go. So we are so glad for Chris, and we are so glad for Indivisible Kentucky. She is a retired Air Force Lieutenant Colonel, having spent 28 years serving this nation. She's going to talk, that's right, give her a big hand. She's going to talk to us about the impact of McConnell's health care bill on our nation's veterans.
Good afternoon, evening, whatever it is. Wow, what a great turnout, right? What a great exhibition of one of the pillars of democracy. Because this is what democracy is all about right here. This is what I spent 28 years serving for. As Danielle just said, I'm the Director of Operations for Indivisible Kentucky, and we're proud to join everyone here today as we rally for a healthier heartland. Yeah! And we speak out in protest of the broken promises of Mitch McConnell and this current administration. Yeah! As Danielle also mentioned, I'm a military veteran, retired Lieutenant Colonel. I spent 28 years serving this great nation in the Air Force. Anybody else here spent time in a military uniform? Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you've been in the military. Where's my veterans? Where's my veterans? Military folks know what it means to sacrifice for this country, folks, to protect our freedoms, to defend the Constitution from all enemies, both foreign and domestic. And I can tell you, folks, I've never in my lifetime been more concerned than I am right now for this nation. Never. I think I speak for many of us when I say that we never imagined we would need to defend our freedoms, our Constitution, and our democracy from our own president. Our own president. From a man who is methodically and rapidly taking us step by authoritarian step towards becoming a fascist state. It's like he's following a Hitler's how-to manual. We're in the fight for our lives, folks, both figuratively and literally. And if this evil man succeeds, our way of life, our democracy, our freedoms, and our liberties will be ripped away from us. But I'm not really here to talk about national security, although I'd love to. Because that's a whole other conversation in speech, right? That's a whole nother thing. So let's talk about health care. Let's talk about what it's going to do to the folks who have already sacrificed in service to this nation. Let's talk about our nation's veterans and the broken promises in this legislation. Promises broken. And at certain points, I'm going to point to y'all and I want y'all to repeat that. Promises broken, okay? The country made a promise to its military members to take care of those who now bear the scars of war. Mitch McConnell is breaking that promise with this bill. Republicans claim that this law won't affect veterans' access to health care, and it won't impact the tax credits that so many of them use to get health care. But that's a lie. According to the House Veterans Affairs Committee, it will jeopardize access to care for millions of veterans nationwide. Promises broken. Trump made a promise, and I quote, to get our veterans the care they need wherever and whenever they need it, end quote. The House version of the bill specifically took out language stating that veterans who were not enrolled with the VA would be eligible for health care tax credits. Those credits have enabled veterans to receive the care they need. Promises broken. Hundreds of thousands of veterans and their family members have gained coverage they didn't have before under Obamacare. The rate of uninsured veterans dropped by 42% between 2013 and 2015 thanks to Obamacare. Fewer vets have been reporting that they can't their hospital bills or that they have an unmet medical need. But all of those gains are now on the chopping block. Promises broken! And many of those veterans, around 1.8 million, who gained health care coverage under the ACA, got it through the Medicaid expansion. If Medicaid is gutted through this bill, all of those vets will go back to having no coverage. In Kentucky alone, some 5,400 vets would lose Medicaid coverage. Promises broken. Now, a small number of them would be eligible for care from the VA, but the VA is already overburdened from the last 20 years of war. The capacity for the VA is already stretched past the breaking point. It can't take on millions more veterans and provide them the care they need and deserve. Promises broken. And those who don't qualify for care from the VA will no longer have the Obamacare subsidies that enabled them to purchase coverage through private insurance. They won't be able to afford that coverage any longer. They and their spouses and children will lose their health care. Promises broken. The removal of the 10 essential benefits, things that insurance companies were required to cover in their most basic plans, will seriously impact our nation's veterans. Those essential benefits include mental health care, substance abuse treatment, and behavioral health services. There are thousands upon thousands of veterans who receive these types of needed care, either through private insurance or Medicaid, and they're going to lose access to that treatment. Promises broken. It's estimated that some 58% of Iraq and Afghanistan veterans have a mental health injury due to their service. Many suffer from issues like PTSD that make it difficult for them to find or keep jobs or maintain stable family lives. Veterans are significantly higher risk for suicide and greater risk for substance abuse. Losing mental health care and substance abuse treatment could literally mean their deaths. Promises broken. What about pre-existing conditions? A significant number of veterans have pre-existing conditions, and this legislation is going to strip away the protection for veterans with pre-existing conditions. Even service-connected disabilities like spinal cord injuries, traumatic brain injuries, and amputations. Promises broken. McConnell, Trump, and this administration do nothing but deceive, distract, divert, and deflect. They make promise after promise without any intention of keeping those promises to the American people. But you know who they are keeping their promises to? The wealthiest, the rich, the insurance corporations, giving huge tax cuts in this law to the wealthiest people and companies, and paying for those cuts by cutting needed health care to our nation's most vulnerable and those who have already sacrificed for this country. Promises broken. So we're here today, standing and chanting and protesting together, demanding that our elected representatives keep their promises to the American people, demanding that they say no to this legislation. I still believe in keeping our promises to our veterans. To care for him who shall have borne the battle, and for his widow and orphan. That's the VA creed. I still believe in the American value of keeping our promises to the American people. I still believe that in our country, health care is a human right. A promise to the most vulnerable among us that our nation will not leave them behind. Today I stand with you to demand that they break no more promises. Thank you.